In this presentation, we're going to go over the fourth set of truth tree problems. You may have noticed that these problems are not as crazy difficult as the ones previously. So what I'm going to do is from here on out give you problems that are more consistent with what you will see on the exam. And what I've been doing before, making them a little bit more difficult, is to sort of push you to understand the more difficult problems. So the simpler ones will be a little bit easier for you. But now that we're getting nearer to the first exam, I want to just give you practice problems like the ones you might see on the exam. I'm still going to go over these a little bit quicker than I had been before. I might give you a little bit more commentary on it just because I've given that previous lecture on just review here. So it might be a little bit helpful to slow down a little bit, but I'm not going to go as slow as I did in the previous uh, lectures, just so I can save you a little bit of time if you're watching this and you're just trying to get the answers to them. But I do want to diagnose a little bit of what's going on to give you an idea, but I'm going to try to move a little bit quicker. So we're going to look at the first premise here. There's only one operator, it's the arrow, and if you remember, our arrow rule is to split it apart. Take the left side and make it false. You take the right side and you make it true. And with that, we're done with this one. Let's look at this one here. What's the main operator? Is it the tilde or is it the arrow? Since there aren't any parentheses breaking this off here, that tells us that the arrow is our main operator. So we just use the arrow rule like we did before. Branch out, take the left side, put it on the right side. I do the same thing in both of these branches, like that. Take the right side, put it there. Now the only other thing we got to do is flip our Q's across to get rid of the tildes. So taking these and flipping them across. Now we've broken down that premise to its most basic parts, and so we're good there. Now let's look at our our last one, which is our conclusion. Same thing as before. What's the main operator, the tilde or the arrow? Since the tilde is in front of just the S, that's telling us it's just the arrow. That is the main operator, and the arrow rule is on the right hand side is the opposite of what our arrow on the left hand side is. So instead of branching, we're going to stack, and instead of marking the left side as false, we're going to mark it as true, and instead of marking the right side as true, we're going to mark it as false. And we got to do this on all the different branches down here. So the last thing we got to do is flip these tilde s's across the line. So we're going to get rid of the tilde and just flip them across like that. And now we need to go back through and check to see if we're valid or invalid. So first one, I see a P on the left and P on the right. So I know that one's going to be closed off. I see P on the left, P on the right. So we know that one's closed off. Now let's look at the other side. We have nothing that is closing off here because I've got an S on the left, a P on the left, and a Q on the left. And then this other one, I have an S on the left, a P on the left, an S on the left, and a Q on the left. So also open. So I don't see anything that happens on the left side and the right side up any of these branches. So since I have two, or at least since I have at least one open branch, it is going to be invalid. And I have to provide a counterexample since it's invalid. I'm going to look at all the different letters that I have. I have P's, Q's, and S's. So P, Q, and S. And then I'm just going to pick one of these. I'm going to pick this one. And I see that my S is on the left-hand side, my P's on the left-hand side, my Q's on the left-hand side. So since they're on the left-hand sides, they will be all true. That is the first one. starting off the same way as we always do. Premises on the left, conclusion on the right. Looking at this premise first, what is the main operator? Now you might be a little bit confused if it's the tilde or the arrow, but the tilde is only applying to this P and Q. If it was this, then the tilde would be the main operator, but there's not an extra set of parentheses. Instead, we're saying this is the main operator. It's gluing this side and this side together. So we'll use our arrow rule for on the left-hand side. And our arrow rule is that the left-hand side goes on the right-hand side. A branched out branch, and then put the right-hand side on the left-hand side. Now we just need to break up this, or actually we need to flip this across to get rid of the tilde. And then an ampersand on the left-hand side, we stack them like that. And so this one is done. Now P is all by itself, so we don't have to do anything there. We just need to flip this S across the way. And so we're going to take this S right here. We're going to put it down into these by flipping it across like this. And that is all that we need to do. So in this one, we can see that we have nothing that closes off here, and we have nothing that closes off over here. So since nothing closes off, it's going to be invalid. And then we're going to need a counterexample. And I'm just going to look at this one over here. And I have P, Q, and S. So I'm just going to put true for all three, because they're all three on the left-hand side. So that is the second one. Starting with the premises on the left-hand side. T and R. P and Q. Starting with the first premise, main operator is the wedge. Our wedge rule says we break them apart. Put the left side on the left side, we put the right side on the left side. Again, make sure you got your rules handy so you know how we are using our rules to break these apart. Now we've got an arrow here that we need to take care of. Arrows we break apart. Left side goes here. Right side goes here. Now we've broken everything down into its simplest parts. So that's all good. Let's move on to this one here. Main operator is the ampersand. Need to break these down and all the branches down below. So ampersand on the right or on the left hand side, we just put them stacked on top of each other. Like that. Now we need to flip this R across to get rid of the tilde. That should be an R. And that is everything we can do for that one. Now we just have to do our conclusion. Our conclusion is an ampersand on the left hand or on the right hand side. So our rule is that we branch out and either one of them is false. Same thing goes on all of these branches. That. Still need to flip the Q's across. And now we're done. We just need to go back through and look for contradictions. So first one, I have a P and a P. One on the right hand side, one on the left hand side, so that's checked off. I've got nothing here on the right hand side. I am seeing. So this one is going to be open. Here we have, looks like nothing that cancels out. So that one's going to be open. This one does have a Q and a Q, so those should close. Then I can see that I've got an R and an R here, so both of these down below are going to close. So I still do have two open branches, so as long as I've got one open branch, it makes it invalid. I need a counterexample. And I have letters P, Q, R, and T. P, Q, R, T. And I'm just going to look at this one right here. So I have a Q on the left hand side, that makes it true. I've got an R on the right hand side, that makes it false. I've got a T on the left hand side, that makes it true. I've got a P on the left hand side, that makes it true. So Q on the left, R on the right, T on the left. That's where my truth values are coming for that one. So invalid, and those are the truth values for the counterexample that I chose. Premises on the left. Well, all by itself. So first one, main operator, is this ampersand here because it's outside of the parentheses. We will put the left hand side, which is the P and Q together, and the S, both on the left hand side. Then we got break down that P and Q, also an ampersand. So this was breaking down this, and then this was breaking down that. Now we have to break down our arrow. And left side's false, or the right side is true. Then we just have to break down this wedge. So what makes a wedge false is if they're both false. And then our conclusion is just a single letter, so let's go back up through now. Got an S on this side and an S on this side, so that closes that one off. And I've got an L on this side and L on this side, so that closes that one off. So since I don't have any open branches, it is valid, and there's no counterexample needed for a valid sequence because there isn't a counterexample showing that it is invalid. So that is question 4. On to question 5. Not using a burgundy line. Nope. QR, on R, conclusion on the right, Q. So main operator here is the first arrow. So break it up. Left side false, right side true. Still need to break up this arrow here. Since it's on the left hand side, we just do the same exact thing we just did before. Left side false, right side true. That is broken up all the way there. Now we need to do this not R. So our not R will turn into just regular R, but on the right hand side. These lines a little bit longer. So these R's are all coming from here. Now we just need to do our conclusion. Our conclusion is that main operator is a tilde, so we just got to flip it across the way. P and Q, P and Q, P and Q. We still got to break down our ampersand here. Ampersand stacks when it's on the left hand side, and they're both true. And now that one's done. That one's done. So let's go back through, see if we got any contradictions. I already see that one there. That's closed off. I see this one here. That one closes off. And then I see this one here, which closes off. So, since all the branches close off, this is valid. And there's no counterexample needed for it. On to question 6. Main operator here, well, there's only one operator, that is a double arrow. The double arrow is true. And they are on matching sides. So that one's done. Now let's move on to this arrow. So we got an arrow that's on the left hand side. So left side's false, right side's true. So that one's done. Now we just need to do our conclusion, and it is a arrow on the right hand side. So this will be a stack and the opposite values of before. So now we'll have T and P. I'm gonna go ahead and put all these so I don't change colors again. That. So let's go through, see if we've got any contradictions. P and a P. So that one's going to cancel out. Now, let's see, we've got a PT, QP. We do have P's on both sides, so that'll cancel out. Looking over here, we don't have anything that's going to cancel. So that will be open. This one looks like it's going to be open. PTQP. PTQP. Yep. So, since we have open branches, it's going to be invalid. And since it's invalid, we need to list a counterexample. We need to look at all the different letters we've got. We've got P, Q, and T. P, Q, and T. And I'm just going to look at this one right here. P is on the right hand side, so that's false. T is on the left hand side, or P is on the right hand side, so it's false. T is on the left hand side, so it's true. And Q is on the right hand side, meaning it is false. So that is problem 6. Parentheses on the left hand side. Right hand side. Let's do the first one. The main operator is the wedge. It's on the outside, so P, Q, or S. We still have this wedge right here. So we gotta use our wedge rule again to separate those. Now we've got that one done. Now main operator here, and the second one is the arrow. So we gotta break these apart. The left side will be false. Oops. I'm gonna go ahead and put this in all of them so I don't have to change colors again. And then the right side's true. And we need to break these wedges apart. And what makes a wedge false is if they're both false. going back through now. Got a P on the left, P on the right, P on the left, so that's closed. Got a T, that one's closed. Got ESQT. Don't see any more there. That one looks open. Do have a T and a T. So that one's closed. This next one, S and an S. That should have been yellow. Got S and an S. So that one will close. Oh, come on. Eraser. And then I've got a T and a T. So that closes. So this one will be invalid. Invalid. Need a counter example. Well, there's only one that we can look at. So we've got P, Q, S, and T. P, Q, S, T. P is on the right hand side, so it's false. S is on the right hand side, so it's false. Q is on the left hand side. Or, sorry, P and S are both on the right hand side, so they're false. Q is on the left hand side, making it true. T is on the right hand side, making it false. So again, E, S, Q, and T. 3 falses and a true. So on to question problem 8, I guess I should say. Q. S, S. And let's just do the first premise. So the first premise, the main operator is a tilde, so we'll flip it across the line. And then we have to use our rule on what makes an ampersand false. It's going that one of them has to be false. So that's everything we gotta do for the first premise. Second premise, the main operator is the arrow, so we have to branch out. And the left side's false. Get rid of that. Left side's false. Side's true. Then we need to break down this wedge. So wedge on the left hand or on the right hand side says we stack them. Keep them on the right hand side. Like that. And we just need to flip the S over the line to get that. Now we can go back through. Look for any contradictions. I don't see one here. Don't see one here. And don't see one here or here. So they are all open. So it's going to be invalid. And since it's invalid, we need a counterexample. I'm just going to use this one right here. I've got Q on the right, P on the right, S on the right. Those are all my letters, P, Q, and S. Since they're all on the right, that means they're all false. So that is problem 8. Now problem 9. Got the premises P arrow, Q and T. Not P and Q. And the conclusion is not T. So first premise, the main operator is the arrow. So we'll separate the left side, make it false. We'll make the right side true. We still have to break down this. Now we need to do the second premise. both of these. So we got to flip it across. P and Q. And Q. And then what makes an ampersand false is that one of them is false. P, Q, P, Q. And then we need to flip this T across and we'll be done. So all these T's again are coming from our conclusion. So going back through, got any contradictions? I don't see one here. I don't see one here. Don't have one here. Don't have one here. Actually, wait, do have one there. Do have a Q and a Q. So those will cancel out. And give us at least one branch that closes, but it doesn't matter, it's still invalid nonetheless. Need a counterexample, and just go look at this one. So I have letters P, Q, and T that all show up somewhere in this sequence. T's on the left hand side, so that's true. P's on the right hand side, so that's false. Again, I don't see a Q going up through this branch, so it doesn't matter the value that I give it. I could call it true. I could call it false. I just have to give it one or the other. Can't give it both at the same time. I just have to give it one or the other. I'm just going to do false because I could have just as easily done this branch too. And we do have a value for Q there, so if you want to do that branch instead, you can do that branch. But that is problem 9. Let's do the final one here. So we have two premises, not P or Q arrow S, not S. We have not Q arrow P as our conclusion. Main operator in the first one is the tilde, so we got to throw that across the tree. So we have this. Then we have to stack this because it is a wedge on the right hand side. So wedge on the right hand side says that they are both false. And then we have a arrow on the left hand side and an arrow on the left or arrow on the right hand side. Sorry, excuse me. That says that we stack them again. Left side's true, right side's false. So now that's everything we need to do for that. Now we need to flip our tilde S across the way. So that's that one. Now we just need to do our conclusion. Our conclusion also needs to get flipped across. Get rid of the tilde. Then we have arrow on the left hand side, which means that we have the left hand side's false or the right hand side's true. Now let's go back through. I got a Q on the right hand side, Q on the left hand side. That one closes off. Got a P on the left hand side, P on the right hand side. That also closes off. So this one is valid. Again, these are a little bit more consistent with the types of problems that I use for the exam. They should be a little bit easier. The next set of practice problems will also be of this sort of similar difficulty.